Hey everybody, it's Danny from Board Game Sanctuary and welcome to my Hot 3 games for this month. In this video series, each month I'll be bringing you 3 games that I've discovered, uncovered, and also added to my collection, not necessarily because they're new, but because they have an engaging theme, mechanic, or something that really piques my interest, and I hope it'll pique your interest too. Come and join me as we check out this month's 3 games. Hey Danny, guess what? I've decided to start my own video series about my top 3 board games that I discover each month. I'd definitely pay money to see that. Well, pay up then. Wait a minute. Doesn't this silver come from the game Raiders of the North Sea? You're welcome. Dragon Castle is an abstract board game that I recently discovered that uses these Mah-jong-like tiles and takes the heart of Mah-jong and elevates it to a new level. Players in this game are going to be deconstructing the main castle and building their own castle on their realm board. Players are trying to match patterns together, consolidate them, and cap them off with little shrines and build their shrines as high as possible in order to earn the most victory points possible. The players that do this win the game. Now, Dragon Castle is a pretty unique and cool game, and I hope to show you why. So first of all, let's take a look at the main board and look at this amazing 3-dimensional structure. And if I rotate the board without knocking everything over, you can see how cool this is. Now, this game comes with a variety of boards, and the boards actually have numbers on them to actually vary the different ways the initial starting castle is set up. And I've picked probably one of the more visually interesting ways, but the game book itself has suggested Dragon Castle examples of different ways to set up the board for different players. So I've set it up as the fortress, which is best for 3 players, but you could have the blockhouse, the pillars of creation, the barracks, and then over here you've got the dragon's head, the gates of destiny, the forbidden city. I just think this variable setup for the way you're going to draft these amazing Mah-jong pieces is so cool. And the fact that the game is going to be so different each time you play it, and the way that the tiles are all mixed up is going to make for a different game experience each time. So at the beginning of the game, each player is going to start with 1 shrine roof in their supply, and shrine roofs are really important because you're trying to build your realm castle as tall as you possibly can, and you're trying to cap them off with these roofs, because at the end of the game, the higher your shrine roofs are, the more points that you're going to acquire. So on your turn, you're going to come over to this beautifully crafted dragon castle, and what looks like a delicious cake, you're going to start taking piece by piece away from this castle and placing it on your realm board. And what you're going to be doing is, on your turn, you have 1 of 4 different actions. You can choose a tile that's on the 3rd level, so these are on the 3rd level here, this is on the 2nd, this is on the 1st level, and you're looking for tiles that have an exposed long edge. So this tile here has an exposed long edge, but this dragon tile here has only exposed short edge. And you're looking for a tile on the top level, and you are going to be picking one from that top level. So for example, I might pick this 3 bamboo, okay? And if you decide to do this, you have to look for a 3 bamboo somewhere else in the dragon castle on the other levels and pick a matching one that also has an exposed edge. And I can see one just here, and it's going to be an exposed long edge. So where you get your 2 tiles, you can place them anywhere on this grid. Some people might like to put the tiles together or slightly apart. The reason why you might want to put them slightly apart is because whenever you have 4 of the same type of tiles, regardless of how many symbols are on there, they're going to flip over and become consolidated, and that's when you can put your little shrine roofs on them. So some people like to combo out and spread them out so they can connect more than 4 green tiles together, so that when they consolidate them, they get more victory points. Another action you can take is to take a available tile from the top level And instead of taking a matching one from another level, you can take a shrine roof. Put my little shrine roof here, and I can put this yellow one up here. I'm going to start building a bit of yellow in that northern section of the realm. You can also on your turn choose to discard a tile from the top of the level of the dragon castle and exchange it for a victory point, which goes into your supply as well. Now you might notice that there are these round cardboard tokens at the bottom of the track. This is called the countdown track. So whenever the dragon castle is at its lowest level, which means there's no level 2 or level 3 pieces left, players can opt on their turn to take a 2-point victory token. And whenever the exclamation mark is revealed, it is an indication to tell you that the game is going to end very soon. So what you'll notice is that there's different types of symbols. You've got green tiles, yellow tiles, and red tiles, which are also known as faction tiles. Then you've also got special tiles, which are represented by these blue floral looking patterns. You've also got the wind tiles and pink dragon tiles. These tile suits are going to matter when it comes to consolidating. So whenever you have an adjacent connecting section of 4 of the same type of tile and you flip them over, those tiles are going to trigger an effect. So let's say I've got these cool tiles on my map and I've just acquired this green tile and I'm going to place it in that spot. Because there's now a connecting region of at least 4 different tiles, they actually consolidate. And because this is a faction tile color, what happens is I get to only place one shrine roof anywhere in this consolidated region. Take one of my shrine roofs from my little supply and cap it off like that. So now if I get to draft 2 tiles, I can see that this blue 3-leaf tile is available. So I'm going to take this one from the 3rd level. I can see this 3-leaf one available from the 2nd level. As you can see here, now I've progressed my board a little bit. You can see that I've consolidated a few regions, and there are a couple of regions that I'm setting up, especially this yellow region and possibly a pink region here. Now you'll notice that some of these tiles are now on their 2nd level, and this consolidated one has allowed me to place this one on a 3rd level. And I'm going to place this other blue one down here on the 1st level, creating a region or zone of 6 blue tiles. Now, because these are special tiles, when I consolidate them and watch how they all flip over on the level that they're on, I actually get to place 2 shrines on, and I'm going to place one on the level 3 one and one on the level 2 one, because that'll score me the maximum amount of points at the end of the game. Now later on, if the game map looks like this and I create a region of pink dragons, these pink dragons will flip over. The dragon tiles actually give you a special bonus. You get to place 2 shrines on what you consolidated, as well as gaining an extra victory point into your supply. And now when you consolidate, depending on the number of tiles that were consolidated, you get certain levels of victory points for the amount of Mah-jong tiles you flipped over. Now spirit creatures are a little bit different. Spirit creatures, you would play with 1 spirit creature placed out next to the game board per game, and basically they're like a bonus action that's different from the main actions that you can take. For example, this particular octopus allows you to take 2 of the same suit, but they don't have to be identical in their number. And to use or trigger bonus action, what you've got to do is, on your turn, go to your playboard, discard one of your Mah-jong tiles, and then you can trigger its effect. I think there's so much to love and adore about Dragon Castle. There's some nice tile synergy that occurs when you're building on your realm board by trying to connect the similar suits together and then flipping them over. And the fact that you can place your Mah-jong tiles on higher levels and have them match from a bird's eye perspective means that you can combo out and get some points. And when you fill in a region of 8 tiles and get those really big scoring points, it's immensely satisfying. The tactile nature of the tiles and the heavy weighted resin nature in which these Mah-jong tiles are created just really provides for such a kinesthetic experience. Ninja Academy is a party-style dexterity game where players are going to be balancing, concentrating, and going head-to-head or versing each other in teams in order to complete a range of 21 different dexterity-style challenges. Players who can do this the most efficiently and gain the reputation in the form of ninja stars will be declared the winners of the game. So at the beginning of the game of Ninja Academy, players are going to take these round cards, pick the one that matches the number of players that are playing, and take the standees that are associated with it. So what's going to happen is the game is going to occur over 5 rounds. In the first round, everyone's going to be playing. In the second round, it's going to be a range of different head-to-head matches. And then in the third round, everyone will play. And then head-to-head matches in the fourth round and fifth round, everyone will play. And this scroll kind of outlines the structure of the game. And these differ based on the number of plays that you've got. What's going to happen is when you get to the first round, you're going to go to the cards that have this turquoise-looking background that feature these all-in symbols. And basically what you're going to do is shuffle them, and then you're going to take one, and then you are going to read what is on the back. So each card has a set of rules. So for example, this observation one, a contestant places 10 black and white meeples and the 10 the 10 logs in the box. Then they shake the box lid, place it on the table face down with its contents so that it covers everything. When everyone is ready, remove the box lid. The first contestant that accurately announces the number of standing elements wins the trial. Only one answer per player. So you'd follow those rules, and then whoever wins would get this many ninja stars into their collection, and then you'd move on to the second round. And in the second round, you would go through these purple head-to-head challenges, and obviously, so you would see which players are facing off first. So you would see player 1 versus player 2, then 2 versus 3, 3 versus 1, 2 versus 1. So shuffle these up, pick one that stands out, and then you would basically do that challenge. So for example, in coordination, you would have both players take 5 meeples and 5 logs each. At a bystander signal, contestants must build the following figure, 5 standing each on a standing vertical log. The first contestant to complete the figure wins the trial. This one is called balance. Basically, you've got to put 5 of these meeples on a tower of logs with a flat horizontal card on top of the tower. Here goes. Are you ready? And go. Build my tower. It's a little bit tricky to do. Got to balance my card on it. And then I'm going to try and put the whole card on top and see if it can go there and stay there without falling. Oh, we need a really good center of balance here. Oh! Now we're going to do catch up. We're going to balance all 5 meeples on my hand and then flip them over and catch them in my hand again. Alright, here we go. Ready? Oh! I got 2. Alright, second try. Oh! Only got 1 that time. So the next one we're going to try is substitution. Basically, I'm using this card to flick all the meeples out of my box, except if I flick a log out of the box, I'm going to lose. Are you ready? Go! Oh, this is pretty fun. Oh, almost got the log. Oh, they're all out. Ninja Academy comes in this very small box. In fact, the box itself is a little room that some of the challenges actually take place in. I really like Ninja Academy because not only does it come in at a very low price point, but it really engages players very quickly and very efficiently. There's a huge range of diverse challenges that players can engage in, either head-to-head or as a group, that will really have everyone standing on their feet, flicking, stacking, and also trying to balance all of the pieces to come first in the challenge that they're engaged in. It is a really fun game that the whole family can enjoy. There is a little bit of strategy that's involved when you're approaching each challenge. There's one challenge here where you have to balance all of the ninjas on your 5 fingers, which is incredibly difficult, but it's also hilarious at the same time. And this game isn't about the deep strategic choices that you're going to make, but it's all about just getting fun, getting involved, and being and trying to act like a ninja. Raiders of the North Sea is a beautiful game that has been on my radar for quite some time now, and only recently I've been able to play it for the first few times. It is a worker placement game where players don't essentially own the workers that they start with. In fact, all the workers are shared. It has this beautiful mechanic of placing down your worker on an empty space, triggering the actions, and then picking up another worker from another space and then triggering those actions. That mechanic alone creates a dichotomy of choices that is both thinky and incredibly rich and deep. So essentially throughout the game, players are going to be building up their army and their provisions by building up a band of Vikings using these raider cards, and they're also going to be trying to pillage different places on the board. It could be the harbor, it could be the monasteries, could be the fortress, and in order to pillage, players will need to satisfy the requirements that are written on the board. So Raiders of the North Sea is a very long game, and I'm not talking about in gameplay time, but in terms of the board, it's very vertical and very distant. It gives you that sense that trying to reach these outer sections of the board is going to be a bit of a journey, and kind of evokes that thematic feeling of trekking and taking your crew out, crossing the ocean or the river, and then heading up to those really important sites. You've got these sections here, the monasteries, the outposts, and the fortresses, which have white workers on them. And you don't get access to these white workers until you are able to pillage one of those locations. Then you've got this central harbour section, we've got the grey workers, and then you've got down here the Viking village, which has these black workers. And each player starts with a black worker, and essentially what you're going to be doing on your turn is you're going to be placing your worker on an empty spot that doesn't have one of these symbols. You can only place a worker here if you've got the grey or white worker in your current possession. So for example, I couldn't place this worker here, but I could place it on the mill. If I place it on the mill, I get one provision from the supply. So I place a worker down, trigger an action, then I pick a different worker, so from these three here, take the worker up, and then trigger that action. And the gatehouse gives me 2 cards that I can draw into my hand, which looks like this. Now drawing cards is really important because they provide you with options of cards and abilities to play against other players. So there's some take that effects or ways to draw new cards. So what players are essentially doing throughout the game is they're trying to gain some coins, and then they're going to use those coins to hire different crew members to join their little party. And then your ship can hold up to 5 crew members altogether. And when you have a certain number of crew members, you can go out and progress to different sections of the board and try and pillage them to gain resources. Most players at the beginning of the game will probably head out to this harbour section to try and pillage one of these areas. Now to pillage an area, you need to be able to satisfy the requirement listed there. For example, this harbour section, you would need 3 provisions, and you'd also need 2 crew members in your possession and next to your ship. Also, you would need to use the black or grey worker in order to go there. So if I wanted to go here, I'd have to use my black worker, place it there, gain the provisions of my choice. So you can choose either this set of 4, this set of 3, or this set of 4. And also gain the worker into your possession. Now, you don't ever really own that worker. You just temporarily kind of borrow that worker for a short amount of time. Later on your next turn, you'll then deploy that worker somewhere else, and someone else might be able to pick up that grey worker and use it. So when you're in the harbour section, there's lots of ways to get resources. So you can get some iron, you can get Valkyrie, which increases your movement along the track, but you do lose a crew member if you take a Valkyrie on, or livestock that helps you to get more provisions at the longhouse. However, the amount of victory points that you get in this region of the board is quite limited. Every time you pillage the harbour, you only get 1 point. Now, as people pillage, they're actually going to fill up these spaces, and these areas are going to empty out. And so what happens is players won't be able to pillage in this part of the harbour anymore. They're going to have to go further out. Now, to go further out, players are going to need more provisions, more crew members, but also when they come to this outpost, there's a greater chance of getting more victory points. Now you see that these spaces have a red banner and a yellow banner. The yellow banner represents how many victory points players get, and the red banner represents the military strength. Cards here have a red number on them, so to determine whether you are able to pillage the outpost and gain the victory points there, you need to be able to at least get one of these numbers. So to get 4 points, you need a score of at least 16. To get 2 points, you need a score of 10. So you would add all the red numbers in your crew, add the number of your position of your marker on the armory track, and you roll dice equal to the number of these question symbols that are on there, and that will give you a total military strength, and that will determine how many victory points you get. As you get to the further reaches of the board, it's going to require some more valuable resources like gold, more crew members on your ship, and you're going to have a much more stronger military strength overall in order to get the maximum amount of victory points, but also to make it worth it. So in this section, a lot of them will involve rolling 2 dice instead of 1. And if there is only one fortress section remaining, then that also triggers the end of the game. You'll see that each Viking card is divided into 2 sections. You've got one side which is triggered when you place a work at the town hall, and you can use that to gain extra cards or impact someone else's game state, or you can add them to your crew, which triggers whenever you take particular actions out on the map. The interesting thing about this game is the fact that there's 3 different types of colored workers. You've got the black workers, the gray workers, and the white workers. And the black workers are centered around this main Viking village where you kind of prepare your supplies for your pillaging that you're going to do later on. And as you progress further out and players pillage the harbor area, these will unlock grey workers, and those grey workers then can be used to activate actions that occur around the Viking village. And then as players gain more resources and advance further, players can reach these outer regions like the outpost and the monastery and fortress, and then unlock white workers, which then can be used to trigger further actions and gain further resources. So there is a sense of progression that occurs throughout the game. Much like in Lost Ruins of Arnak, where you start off by foot, then you can drive, and then you can use a boat, and then you can fly. Unlocking these extra meeples means that where you put your meeple down will allow someone else to pick up that meeple and then advance further across the board. So you're kind of working together in a way to unlock the meeples, but you're competing against each other and trying to get the resources, having the best and most violent Viking crew, and then pillaging and getting those victory points that you need to win this game. Raiders of the North Sea is probably one of the most interesting worker placement games that I've played in a long time. It has this beautiful ebb and flow effect of sharing your workers around, putting a worker down to trigger an action and picking it up to trigger another action. The fact that that grey worker that you might need to access the middle part of the board is picked up by another player means that player now has the opportunity to progress to that section and pillage and gain further resources. The fact that the resources are distributed so differently across each game means that each time you play this game, it's going to present you with a different type of puzzle. Thank you once again for joining me for this month's top 3 board game video. I hope you enjoyed my walkthrough of Dragon Castle, Raiders of the North Sea, and Ninja Academy. Have you played these games before? Have they intrigued you? Have they been on your radar? Please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you want to help support Board Game Sanctuary grow, please check out my Patreon page, and also consider liking us on Facebook to get all of the latest news updates. This is Danny saying out. Can't wait to see you next month for another top 3 video. Catch you on the flip side. Bye.